Have you ever noticed that your best golf never seems to happen when you are trying the hardest? That the rounds you remember most fondly, where everything flowed, where the shots came naturally and the decisions were clear, weren't the rounds where you were working hardest at your game. They were the rounds where something quietened down, where you stopped trying quite so much and something underneath just took over. And have you noticed the opposite too? That the harder you try to fix something, the more you think about it, the more tutorials you watch and tips you absorb, the further away the natural game seems to get. There is a reason for this. A simple, elegant reason that once you see it, clearly changes not just how you approach golf, but how you approach everything. It comes down to understanding how the system actually works. The mental system, the one that was running quietly and perfectly long before anyone ever gave you a tip or told you how to think. And here is the most important thing I can tell you about that system. It already knows what to do. It always has. The only question is whether you are getting in its way. Think of your level of consciousness, your level of clear seeing, of presence, of natural ability as a helium balloon. Left completely alone, it rises. That is its nature. That is what it does. Not because you told it to, not because you worked at it or earned it or figured out the right technique, simply because rising is what a helium balloon does when nothing is pushing it down. Now think of your personal thinking, the worrying, the analyzing, the replaying, the what-ifs and the should-haves, as a hand pressing down on that balloon. Every thought taken too seriously, every doubt given too much life, every anxious moment held onto rather than allowed to pass, is pressure on the balloon, stopping it from doing what it naturally does. And here is the insight that changes everything. The answer is not to push the balloon up. You cannot push a helium balloon up. It already wants to go there. The answer is simply to stop pushing it down. Do nothing and watch what happens. Consciousness, clarity, presence, natural ability rises on its own, every time, without exception, because that is how the system was designed. I am not asking you to stop thinking. Thought is one of the greatest gifts we have been given. I am simply asking you to stop taking your thinking so seriously, to stop giving your thoughts so much life. Because the moment you hold them a little more lightly, the moment you see them as passing weather rather than permanent truth, the balloon begins to rise again. Naturally, effortlessly, the way it always wanted to. You can see this system playing out on a golf course every single day. Consider the golfer searching for the secret to their golf swing through constant YouTube tutorials. Each new video adding another layer of thinking, another tip to try, another thing to check, another swing thought competing for space until the mind is so full and so busy that the natural swing, the one that was always there, the one that worked beautifully before all the searching began, is completely buried underneath it all. They cannot see the wood for the trees, not because the wood has gone, but because the trees of accumulated thinking have grown so dense that the light cannot get through. The answer is not another tutorial. The answer is to stop pushing down on the balloon. Or consider two golfers standing on the first tee of a competition. Same hole, same conditions, same pressure. And one of them is nervous. Heart beating faster, hands slightly tight, mind full of what-ifs. And the other is calm, present, clear, ready. Here is what most people miss about that moment. Those two golfers are not having different experiences of the first tee. They are having different experiences of their own thinking. The tee itself is just grass and a marker. The nervousness and the calm are both created entirely by thought. Personal, individual, in the moment. The nervous golfer is not wrong or weak or unprepared. They are simply caught up in their thinking without realizing it. The balloon is being pushed down, And the moment they see that, really see it, something shifts. Not because they replace the nervous thought with a confident one, but because they stopped giving the nervous thought so much life. And the balloon rises on its own, the way it always does. I want you to think about a toddler having a tantrum, full intensity, completely real in that moment, the feeling entirely genuine. And then, 2 minutes later, laughing and giggling as if it never happened. That is the system working exactly as it was designed. The toddler doesn't analyze the tantrum afterwards, doesn't replay it at bedtime, doesn't build a story about being someone who has tantrums or worry about the next one. They don't hold on to it for days or carry it into the afternoon. They just return. Naturally, completely. In 2 minutes. Not because they used a technique. Not because someone taught them a mental routine. Simply because they didn't push down on the balloon. The feeling passed. The way all feelings pass when you don't give them more life than they need. And the system reset on its own. That is your default state. Before the labels and the fears and the ego and the endless analysis. Before the world taught you to think harder and try more and push further. Just being. Clear. Present. Natural. We are taught from our earliest years to try hard, to push, to effort our way to better results. And there are places where that is exactly right. But one of life's great paradoxes, one of the quiet secrets that the wisest people and the best golfers seem to discover, is that sometimes the path to more is through less. That doing less achieves more. That the moment you stop pushing the balloon down is the moment it begins to rise. Not through effort, through understanding. Every moment of every day, the system is playing out around you. The golfer who makes a double bogey and is laughing by the next tee. The one who can't let go of a missed putt for the rest of the round. The player who arrives at the first tee completely calm, and the one consumed by nerves. All of it, every single moment, is thought creating experience. Nothing more and nothing less. You already have everything you need. The natural swing, the clear mind, the settled presence that produces your best golf. It hasn't gone anywhere. It is simply waiting, like the helium balloon, for the pushing to ease. You don't need another tip. You don't need another tutorial. You don't need to think harder or try more. You just need to see the system for what it is. Thought creates your experience. And when you stop taking your thinking so seriously, when you hold your thoughts a little more lightly and let them pass the way clouds pass across a sky, something underneath quietly rises. It was always there. It will always be there. Stop pushing down on the balloon and watch what happens.